This is what the Bible is talking about. These are days that you can have like this. Those of you who want to really love life and see those kinds of days, here's a formula. And I suppose it would be safe to say that there's nobody that doesn't want that. Everybody wants that. But the question comes, as it is often does, where are you going to find it? I often ask that question to people who say, well, have a good day. Can you tell me where to find it? Try that. Can you tell me where to find it? Where can you find a good day? Dare you? Where do you find a good day? Ask them what they mean by that. Well, it's just a figure of speech, like you saying hello. I didn't really mean for you to have a good day, because I never have a good day, and I can't wait to get out of this day. The truth of the matter is, I am confident that many of you, well, that's not true because there's just a few of us here. There are Christians, strange as it may seem, who take their life. That's how they hate it so much that they take their own life. So it is essential to stop at this point and say and recognize that this injunction can be to Christians, all right. There's a very important imperative. What is an imperative? It's a question. What is an imperative? I said it Sunday morning.
That needs to be done urgently or soon.
Imperative means there is an imperative. What?
Something needs to be done.
Can you look that up?
Something needs to be done.
What's an imperative?
Soon. Something needs to be done soon. Or
It is a command. Imperative is a command in this sense. It may be that, Richard, but it is a command. An imperative is a command. An indicative are the do's and don'ts. Imperatives are the do's and don'ts. And imperatives, and then the imperative is the spiritual sense of how that is accomplished. It's what? Supernatural life incorporated into the life. So then, these imperatives, these 5 imperatives, are not necessarily commands, but in the sense that they are what we need to strive for if we're going to have a good day.
Necessities, maybe.
And I would say that, safe to say, and to understand that we're talking about Peter's writing to believers. So here is a group of people who, from the standpoint of circumstances, and understandably, not love life because they're standing in the midst of the Roman Empire. I think maybe you could illustrate that in Nairobi, or in Iraq, or Syria, or Iran, or North Korea, perhaps, where you are in or Israel, or Palestine. Those places are not safe places to live, and you never know when one day you're going to be bombed by someone. So in spite of all of that, how can you have a good day, which God is trying to bring out? So here, this group of people, and if you mean to see good life, days in spite of all of this, here's the formula. And he proceeds to give them basically 4 simple points, and I want to share with them as I try to go through the text. Sum it up, verse 8, to sum it up, finally, as I said last time, be ye all of one mind. Not that the apostle wants it, the apostle was about to conclude his epistle. Actually, he's just getting started. All we have is an outline. The Sermon on the Mount is an outline. The epistles, these 3 chapters or 5 chapters, are simply outlines. And I'm trying to fill in the outline when I preach. How else could I get 90 sermons out of 3 chapters? I'm filling in the outline. Wouldn't it be marvelous if he had recorded it? He is telling us throughout this chapter, and we've already studied the first 8 chapters, what is going to make us have a happy life. Let all be harmonious. Be like-minded. Acts 2:1. Acts 4:32. Romans 12:16. Romans 15:15. You can look up when you get home. 1 Corinthians 1:10. And one last one, Philippians 3:16. More literally, it means all like-minded. I know I've covered this, but I'll do it again. All like-mindedness. Romans 12:16. But of the same mind towards one another, do not be haughty in mind, but associate with the lowly. Do not be wise in your own estimation. And Spurgeon writes, be unanimous. Do not hold church meetings to talk about nothing, and so quarrels for the want of something to do. Be united with the resolve that you will glorify God, and that there shall be no dissension, no division among you. Paul says, be ye of one mind. Spurgeon preached to 10,000 people. His church membership was well over 25,000. And he told the Sunday morning crowd, don't come back Sunday night, because there'll be another 10,000 people who come back Sunday night. And he preached 2 to 3 hours. Can you imagine 10,000 people not being of sound mind, of the same mind? This group here, and this group here, and this group there. They need to be of one mind. Of one mind. Literally, of one and the same mind, like-minded, having a common mindset, but not necessarily all the same taste or gifts or habits. But the idea is that they are to possess the same thoughts and assessments of the essentials of life. God, number one. We need to have the same view of God. Number 2. Salvation. Number 3, virtue. So the 3 essential one-mindedness is God, salvation, and virtue, morality. We do not say, then, that if we all had the same theological understanding of God and who God is and what God does, we're on the same page of who God is. God is not dead. The movie was very good again. There are reasons why people don't believe in God. There are a lot of reasons why people don't want to believe in God. And there are a lot of people who have different ideas who God is. We need one mind. Secondly, salvation. We need to all have a single-mindedness of how we proceed in our understanding of this matter of salvation. And yet that splits more churches, hurts more people, more disagreements, more anger, more hatred goes into those who have different opinions as to how salvation takes place and continues to take place in the hearts of every person. We need to be single-mindedness. We need to be at least willing to say, I believe that Pastor Charles has brought out scriptural as to how salvation is applied to our hearts. And as rarely a day goes by when I'm watching Facebook that some preacher is not making some idiotic remark about the means whereby salvation takes place. But I want us to, and then virtue, morality. We all need to be like-minded in coming together, as I said a couple of weeks ago, on our sexually statement of faith, what we believe the Bible teaches about sexuality. In the means of genders, homosexuality activity. I was so pleased to hear at 12:45, John Gowdy from Temple Baptist Church has a 15-minute on 1260, and he has a 15-minute program, and he specifically stated this is our church statement on sexuality. And he just flat out said that those who are welcome into our church as members are those who do not practice sexuality. Homosexuality. And sexuality that's not biblical. Sexuality, it means you practice adultery, you practice bestiality, which I cannot comprehend. You practice a sexuality that with other genders. He said, we just don't, you cannot become a member of our church, but we'll pray for you. But if you have tendencies, that's a different story. So I thought that was interesting. The word of sound mind, Peter is not referring to minute details like the order of the pew cushions or how they're set up, but is referring to a unity on the major and important points of Christian doctrine. Let me give you one. John has to understand the work of the Trinity. Listen to me, buddy. I'm talking to you. I put a fly on the Trinity. And if you have a question that you don't understand, I want to help you with. So if there's the doctrine of the Trinity, the doctrine of Christ, the doctrine of the Holy Spirit, the doctrine of the church, the doctrine of sanctification, we do have a statement of faith that expresses in our statement of what we believe. I think it's so very important. Later in the same letter to the Philippians, Paul writes of us, therefore, as many as are perfect, not sinless, but maturing as believers, have an attitude, in the context, the attitude of pursuing the prize before you. Christ-likeness, a mark of spiritual maturity, is a desire to go on with Christ. And if anything, you have a different attitude in regard to what is involved in pressing towards the mark. Philippians 3:15, I press towards the mark that is set before me, and you are committed to press, endeavor, to work out, to strive, to accomplish whatever it takes to complete the task